Good morning. Check, check, check. Is this thing on? September 29th. It is Monday. Welcome to Monday. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I'm so happy to be back with Before the Noise and to be with you guys. We had a longer session on Friday. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see more of those in the days ahead. You know, maybe not every day, but sometimes a little bit longer. We can spend some time together. I enjoyed that. And I hope you did as well. Make sure that you're sharing these episodes. We're in John chapter 10. We've moved into verse 11. And we are moving quite fast through the book of John. And I'm loving the progress that we're doing. So it says in verse 11 of John chapter 10, Jesus is speaking. He says, "I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, so when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. When the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it, the man runs away because he was a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I laid down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice." Man, that's so good. "And there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father." The Jews who heard these words were divided. Many of them said, "He is demon-possessed and raving mad. Why listen to him?" Verse 21, others said, "These are not the sayings of a man possessed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind?" It's so hard for me to read through that because there's so much where I want to stop and give emphasis. But again, for the sake of time, when Jesus says, "I'm the good shepherd" here, he's not just giving us a sweet metaphor about sheep and pastures. He's making this bold, earth-shaking declaration about his heart, his ministry, his mission, and ultimately his authority. He's drawing this line between every false leader, and you know they're out there, the ones out there who are exploiting and abandoning, people, and he says the true shepherd is not that way. He's the one who lays down his life for the sheep. Now, what does he mean when he says, "I'm the good shepherd"? Why that analogy? When he says, "I'm the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." Jesus is showing us the difference between him and every other so-called savior that the world offers. And trust me, there's a lot of things out there that offer to save you. He calls those hired hands. And a hired hand, they work for pay. They're in it for their own greed, their own purposes. The wolf comes. The hired hand runs away because the sheep are not his. Jesus says, "I'm not like that. I love you so much that I'll die for you. I'll sacrifice for you." Now, this isn't just poetry. This isn't just something that grandma crocheted or, put on a cross stitch. This is a prophecy. Within months of saying these words, Jesus literally laid down his life on the cross. And he proved that his shepherding wasn't about control, but it was about sacrifice. He proved that we're not just part of a crowd. We actually belong to him. We're his own sheep. He says in verse 14, he says, "I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father." Now, this is a stunning statement. I want you to catch this. This is so important because Jesus is comparing his relationship to us with his relationship with the Father. So I want you to think about that for a second. He doesn't say that he knows us in a way that a boss knows his employees. He's saying he knows us like the Father knows him. Now, I want you to catch that because everything that Jesus has said up to this point, he says, "I don't do anything of my own accord. I only do what I see the Father doing. I only say what I hear the Father saying." He is so intimately in tune and one with the Father, intimately, personally, unbreakably. He's saying that's the kind of relationship that I'm going to have with you as well. So that means for you today, those of you out there that feel invisible, you're not invisible to God. You're not a face in the crowd. The shepherd knows your name. The shepherd knows your trials. The shepherd knows your trauma. The shepherd knows your tendency to wander off and get lost. He knows your wounds. He knows your fears, and he knows your story. And he says in verse 16, he says, I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen, and I got to bring them also. They too will listen to my voice. So I want you to let that take some pressure off of you, because what Jesus is pointing forward towards is the future. He's talking about us. Specifically in this passage, he's talking to the Jews about the Gentiles. He's talking about the gospel going out to the ends of the earth. This is why you and I are living 2,000 years later after the life of Christ, in a different nation, in a different place, with a different language, but yet we're included in that flock, because the good shepherd's heart is global. It's not exclusive. It's very cosmopolitan. It's not provincial. He goes out to those that no one ever thinks about. And in this verse is this mission call to you and me, because it's saying the shepherd still has sheep who are not yet gathered yet. This is why telling people the gospel, telling people the good news, evangelism, if you will, is not about convincing people online or arguing with strangers or debating and trying to have all the Bible knowledge or the facts. It's about helping the lost sheep out there hear the voice of their shepherd and ultimately come home. Now you say, well, how do I know who that is? That's the mystery. You don't. But they will hear his voice, and they hear his voice typically through you. He says in verse 17, the reason my Father loves me is I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it up from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. Now, don't miss this. Jesus wasn't a victim of the Roman Empire. He was not a victim of circumstances. He wasn't overpowered by the religious leaders or the Sanhedrin. He was willingly laying down his life, and yet he had the authority to take it up again. That's resurrection power. That is sovereignty wrapped in sacrifice. He knew that the same power that he possessed in himself to do all of these things was going to raise him from the dead. And now what that means for you and me is this. It means the shepherd, he ain't weak. He's not weak. He's not out there wringing his hands over the situation because he's lost control of it. He says, if I have authority over life and death, I certainly have authority over your power bill or your child that's in rebellion. He says, I'm the one that's laying down my life. I can take it up again. If I have that kind of life and power, of resurrection power, I can take all the dead areas of your life and breathe life into them too. There's nothing that's dying or dead in your life that he can't bring life back into. The passage is so beautiful because it closes with some division. Every time Jesus says something, there's division. They say in verse 19, said he's demon-possessed. And so when Jesus speaks, there's always those people out there who say, nah, that's hooey. And then the others, they say, that's not the words of a madman. And so every time Jesus speaks, every time truth comes out of Christ, he demands a response. The good shepherd is always in the process, through the things he says, of separating sheep from the goats. Some are going to reject him, some are going to follow him, but no one can ignore him. You go out there and try that. Nobody's going to ignore him. You start talking about Christ in the world, you start talking about the good shepherd out there, and there will be people who accept it, and there will be people who deny it. There will always be a dividing line that runs through our world. You're going to have people who scoff at your faith. You're going to have people who find peace because of your faith. They're going to find hope, and they're going to find the love of the shepherd in you. And then when they see that, they're going to know it's real. Now, here's a couple of things I want to give you. The intentional steps. I want you to learn his voice. Sheep know the shepherd's voice because they spend time with him. The more, you don't just hear it automatically. You got to pray. You got to read the word. You got to sit in his presence. The easier you do that, the easier it becomes to recognize his leading and his voice. I want you to start by reading John 10 this week. Lord, what are you speaking to me today? I want the shepherd to speak to me. Second thing is you got to trust in his care. The shepherd lays down his life for you. That means you're not disposable, you're not unworthy, you're not forgotten, and you're not overlooked. I want you to write down the biggest worry you're carrying right now in your life. And then I want you to pray this. Lord, this burden belongs to you. You can breathe life into it, and I trust you as my shepherd. Third thing, I want you to join his mission. Jesus says he's got other sheep that are not yet in the fold. Your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members, they might be among them. You know this. You're not called to save them. You're not called to save them. You're called to echo the shepherd's voice and then let him do the work. Next thing is I want you to ask God this week, who in my life needs to hear your voice through me? And I want you to take a step. I'm not saying confrontationally, I'm just saying I want you to take a step, share encouragement, offer prayer, invite them to church, whatever that may be. And then I want you to rest in his authority because life feels chaotic. The last 12 months of my life have been extremely blessed, but extremely chaotic. Never been more blessed and stretched at the same time. It's wild. But in that chaos, the shepherd has spoken. He speaks to me. He'll speak into your chaos because he holds the authority of death and the resurrection. Each morning this week, I want you to declare out loud, by the way, Jesus, you're my good shepherd. You laid down your life for me and you hold authority over this day and every day I live. So this is not just an ancient metaphor. Jesus himself saying, I'm the good shepherd. I see you. I know you. I laid down my life for you, and I will lead you to life abundant. That's good news. I don't want you to listen today to the voices of fear or shame or doubt. I want you to lift up your head. I'm going to tell you that every single time I'm on here. Lift your head. The good shepherd is calling you by name. Follow him, and you will find those green pastures, living water, and eternal hope. Listen to me. The Good Shepherd is not just a character in the Bible. He's alive right now. He's walking into your valley. He's standing guard at the edge of your battle. He's calling you out of your confusion and chaos and into his peace. You do not have to wander anymore. You do not have to wonder if you matter anymore. You don't have to fear being abandoned anymore because the Good Shepherd has already proven his love. He laid down his life for you. He picked it up again in resurrection power, and now he leads you with a voice that cuts through every other noise. The world says you're on your own. The enemy whispers that you're worthless, but the shepherd says you're mine. You belong to me. Nobody is going to snatch you out of my hand. So I want you to rise up today with confidence. Walk with your head lifted high. The shepherd knows your name. He carries your burdens, and he goes before you into every single storm. You're safe. You're loved. You are his. And when you follow him, you do not just find survival. You find abundant life. And that is the promise of the Good Shepherd. That's the power of John 10 in these verses. That is the hope you can hold on to right now. Get my book, Born for Meaning, at bornformeaning.com. Get it over on Amazon. If you would like for us to do some throughout the week, occasionally longer segments like we did on Friday, let me know. I'll try not to waste your time. Leave a comment, hit like, and share it. If you haven't subscribed to these channels on YouTube or Rumble, please do it. I love you guys. Thank you for spending a few sacred minutes with me today before the noise. My prayer is that you walk into whatever comes next, not empty, but filled, not rushed, but rooted, not reactive, but renewed. Take a deep breath. God, the Good Shepherd, he's already ahead of you. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same peace. Before the noise. God bless.